All right, y'all, we are back with another video. And before we start, please put prayers for Donald Trump in the comment section. We must protect President Trump at all times. And it brings me to this video right here. Here we go again with corrupt Jack Smith. Now, y'all notice that the debate against Donald Trump and Kamala Harris is coming up. And then all of a sudden, Jack Smith comes out of nowhere, you know what I'm saying, filing a new indictment against Donald Trump. This is all Kamala Harris doing. This is what the Democrats are doing. They trying to give Kamala Harris more talking points before the debate. So out of nowhere, here come Jack Smith filing an indictment against Trump after the case was already thrown out. This right here is just ridiculous. This is election interference at its finest, like it's been for a while. And then all of a sudden, I'm telling you, as it get closer and closer to November, they are trying to find a way to help Kamala Harris win. Going after Donald Trump with these dumb indictments, trying to put him in jail. They spent 4 days at the DNC just lying on him, saying all of this, call him a racist, call him this, call him that. This is just ridiculous, and we are all tired of this crap. Because out of nowhere now, the debate getting ready to come up, and then Jack Smith do something like this. I mean, there's no way Jack Smith is going to win this regardless, but it's just the fact that he's doing this. So like I said, y'all please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. That way you can stay up to date with everything that's going on. And let's see what Dr. Steve Turley have to say about this, y'all. Let's go.
What do you make of this? Obviously, the special counsel, it's kind of like the Empire Strikes Back, refiling another indictment here.
Yeah, it's the shrinkflation indictment. It's the same packaging, just less product inside. And what they did is kept the 4 charges, and they just took out any evidence that clearly would have contradicted the Supreme Court's decision on presidential immunity. It does not hold together, in my view, very well. I don't even think it solves the problem. For example, he's keeping in, as one of the 4 main allegations, Trump's communications with and to Pence. That's still presumptively protected under the Supreme Court decision. He also includes communications with members of Congress that could also trip a wire. The first 2 main theories deal with state officials and the slates, the alternative slates that Trump's team was pushing. So he doesn't really get out of the problem that so many still see with this. What's also interesting, Brett, is he keeps the charges of obstruction of official proceedings. There was a second case, the Fisher case, that dramatically narrowed how prosecutors can bring that charge. They have to essentially allege tampering of evidence or destruction of evidence. It's not clear how he's going to thread that needle on those charges.
Yeah.
As if things couldn't possibly get worse for the fledgling Kamala campaign. Now this! An utterly desperate Jack Smith throws out a new indictment that's even worse and more pathetic than the previous one that the Supreme Court shot down. We're going to see what's really going on behind the scenes here and why this superseding indictment is turning out to be Kamala's worst nightmare. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you stay sane in these insane times. So make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, before we get into Jack Smith jumping the shark here, I want you all to click on that link below and begin taking care of your own health. Many of you know I'm very passionate about the fact that we cannot rescue our nation if we defenders of democracy strike again. Yesterday afternoon, special counsel Jack Smith filed what's called a superseding indictment against President Trump. A superseding indictment is simply a second one after the first one gets dismissed. It's a new indictment that's several pages shorter than the original one, precisely because Smith had to omit so much evidence due to the Supreme Court's presidential immunity ruling. That's basically stripped him of any case. As it turns out, this one is even more pathetic. It's even weaker than the previous one, if that were even possible. Trump's response to this travesty, of course, was absolute fire. He tweeted out, "It is DOJ policy that the Department of Justice should not take any action that will influence an election within 60 days of that election, but they just have taken such action. Voting starts on September 6th. Therefore, the DOJ has violated its own policy. Election interference. All of these Comrade Kamala Biden hoaxes should be immediately dismissed.
Exactly.
Dismissed. And he's absolutely right. This is blatant election interference on the part of the Justice Department. And ironically, it's an interference that's working the other way. It's frankly the greatest gift Trump could be given right now. I mean, let's just be blunt here. I'm just going to say this up front. This was the very last thing that Commie Kamala would have wanted to happen.
Exactly.
This indictment. This is the very last thing that the fledgling Kamala campaign would want to happen. Somehow, some way, Jack Smith did not get the memo that Alvin Bragg got, right? Just days ago, the Manhattan District Attorney, Alvin Bragg, conceded that the New York court should postpone the sentencing of Trump, which is currently scheduled to occur on September 18th, until after the election. Bragg admitted that in light of the Supreme Court's immunity ruling, much of the evidence that he introduced into the court has been in effect wiped out. And so he agreed. He's recommending that sentencing for Trump be postponed until after the election. And everyone who saw that recognized that Bragg was actually admitting that the lawfare they used to try to take Trump out was a total and complete failure.
It was.
That letter from Bragg to the Manhattan judge was a blatant admission. It was a confession that the weaponized lawfare has boomeranged against them. It's an admission that the only thing this campaign of weaponized legalism has accomplished was a massive backlash of sympathy towards Trump. That is what this caving from Bragg represents. It doesn't have a whit to do with his concern over a right application of the law and justice and fairness. What a total crock.
Yeah, because this right here is just pathetic, man. Kamala Harris, Comrade Kamala Harris, is doing the same thing what her and Biden been doing to Donald Trump this entire time. When they can't beat him, they try to get him put in jail. I want y'all to hear this. This right here, this indictment has everything to do with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. This woman hasn't been doing any interviews, and then now she finally scheduled an interview, but she can't do an interview by herself. She want Tim Waltz right there with her. This woman don't want to answer any questions, because you know what she's going to try to do? When they ask her a question, she's going to try to look at Tim Waltz to answer it. That way she don't have to answer everything. What kind of person that want to run for president can't answer questions, can't do an interview by themselves? They need a babysitter beside them. That's what she needs. She need a babysitter. She needs somebody else to look at when she don't want to answer a question. And now they got this crap right here going on. Now they going after Donald Trump again, knowing that early voting starting September 6th. And what do? They send Jack Smith out there to file a new indictment against Donald Trump to try to get the American people to turn on him. This is what they doing. I told you. They going to try to do everything they can. We are so sick of this crap. They cannot beat Donald Trump fair and square. They keep on bringing out these dumb allegations. You got Jack Smith. This right here is worse, like Dr. Steve says, worse than the first one. The thing is, he knows it's going to be dismissed. But he said, why not just throw it out there to try to get the American people to turn on Trump and vote for Kamala Harris? Kamala Harris don't have everything to do with this. And this right here really pissed Kamala Harris off. You know why? Because every time you go after Donald Trump, he surges in the polls. They do know that, right? Every time they go after this man with a dumb indictment, trying to make him pay $500,000 for a bond and all of this crap, it helps Donald Trump out in the polls because they know y'all only going after this man because y'all cannot beat him fair and square, and y'all trying to use the system to take him out. Y'all done tried everything. Shooting at the rally, putting them in jail, keeping them in cold courtrooms. And then now Jack Smith come out with this bull crap right here when he was already illegally appointed. I mean, this right here, this is a bunch of crap, man. A bunch of crap. And the only thing it is to try to make the American people turn on Donald Trump and try to vote for Kamala Harris. They got something to do with this. You know Kamala Harris, you know Joe Biden them got something to do with this. Because why would they be allowing Jack Smith to constantly keep doing this, knowing that this right here is election interference? I mean, November is approaching and he coming out with this crap. But like I said, if a lot of people know that supports Donald Trump, they know this right here is a bunch of crap, and they only just trying to do this to get people, to get voters to turn on Donald Trump, which is not going to work. They might just elected Donald Trump as president with this dumb indictment right here, because it just goes to show you when they losing, and that's the reason why Kamala Harris haven't been doing any interviews. Maybe that's what it is. She haven't been doing any interview because she probably been behind the scenes the entire time talking to Jack Smith about putting this indictment on Donald Trump. Maybe that's the reason why she didn't want to do no interview. Ain't that something that as soon as Jack Smith come out with this indictment, all of a sudden she agreed to an interview all of a sudden? Which she can't agree to one by herself and answer questions by herself. She need a babysitter. She need Tim Waltz beside her to put the pressure on him when she don't want to answer something. This is ridiculous. They didn't ask the interview Tim Waltz. They asked to interview you. The woman can't speak. She can't talk. So how can we trust her to be president?
This letter was a full-on retreat. Now, if that's the case, then there does appear to be a conflict within the political class on how best to deal with a surging Trump. Bragg decided to drop the whole darn thing. Quit while you're behind, as it were. Whereas Jack Smith seems to be doubling down on stupid, doing more of the same, the very definition of insanity. So there does seem to be a very real clash within the permanent political class on how best to deal with a surging Trump and a collapsing Kamala. And that is actually what both Bragg and Smith appear to agree on. That the one thing they agree on, they're both admitting in their own contradictory ways that Trump is absolutely poised to win this election.
Yep.
Again, just as a reminder, Trump has never been in such a strong position to win the White House ever. Not even close. Not in 2016, not in 2020, as he is right now. Trump is more popular today than he's ever been, and they obviously don't trust Kamala to get the job done. But regardless, make no mistake, this superseding indictment is the last thing the fledgling Kamala campaign wanted.
I just said
all
that.
it's going to do now is give voters more of a reason to galvanize around Trump.
Yeah,
I mean, take a look at Nicole Shanahan's tweet here. Robert Kennedy's VP candidate. Take a look at what she just tweeted out, literally within hours in response to the sham indictment. Quote, "I'll admit, I used to kind of roll my eyes when people claimed that President Trump was being, quote, persecuted. It's because I was looking at it through the distorted filter of the media. Well, I just completed my first cross-examination in our second New York ballot access case, where the DNC-aligned PAC attorneys questioned me like a criminal."
Wow.
Okay, I get it now. Our justice system is clearly being co-opted and abused by nefarious people with malevolent political agendas. This superseding indictment is yet another reason for people like Nicole to galvanize around Trump. Remember, Trump himself said he was just one indictment away from winning the White House. Every time he's indicted, his polls go up. Every time. We talked about this from the vantage point of political demographics. Whether anyone likes it or not, indictments endear Trump to non-white working class voters.
Yep.
Indictments endear Trump to non-white working class voters. And the reason for that is simple. Roll the tape.
I've talked to many people who formerly identified as a Democrat. They have changed their political persuasion to independent, and they are looking forward to voting for Trump because now they find something in common with a political candidate at that level.
When you say they find commonality, what is that commonality?
They have felt persecuted by the system of American injustice. And it's not a stretch for them to think that Trump may be a victim as well. People see that there's some kind of commonality between himself and maybe all the black men that have been incarcerated and the families that have been impacted by black male incarceration.
So there you have it. For millions.
Yeah, you can basically tell more people, they see this, they see what's going on. They see that they cannot beat Donald Trump. So the only way to try to beat him is by cheating, basically. Using crooked judges to go out there, using crooked judges to try to put him in jail and put this weird thing over his back. So now you got people calling him out. Like you got Hillary Clinton talking crap about Donald Trump when she should have been charged for deleting those emails, getting rid of those emails. But Donald Trump was so nice that he didn't even want to put her in jail. But yet she turned around. Now she's bragging about him potentially going to jail or prison or something like that, making fun of him. This right here is just stupid, man. But like I said, they really just hurt their own self. Calling the man a felon when Hillary Clinton should have been a felon. She should have been a felon for deleting those emails. But Trump didn't lock her up. He didn't try to. He didn't want to. But they turned around years later and trying to do it to him. So now that was their whole talking point, is that at the DNC, how can y'all vote for a felon? That's what the judge, that's why they put that. And I said that months ago when they put that on him that he's a felon. I said they're going to use it at the DNC. Almost everybody got up there and talk, calling him a felon. When they know it's a bunch of crap. Knowing that the judge was crooked. Knowing that these judges are Democrats. And they know that, but they don't care. They willing to do whatever it takes to beat Donald Trump. And it's just sickening, man, to keep seeing crap like this.
Millions of particularly non-white working class voters, Trump's indictments, and particularly that mugshot, made him instantly one of them. Voters who have consistently voted Democrat are now voting Trump almost solely based on the fact that that image made him one of them. Yep. And again, you don't have to think too hard as to why. If you ask non-white voters, how many New York billionaire former presidents do you know, right? The answer, of course, is 0. But if you ask them, how many people do you know that have been abused by the law, who've been abused by a rigged legal system? Well, that's different. They know plenty.
Yep.
At some point in their lives, they know plenty of people who've been arrested for nefarious reasons. In other words, and this is what Robert Barnes likes to say, that mugshot transferred Trump from one cultural space, the New York billionaire former president, to another cultural space, someone legally persecuted by an unfair and unjust rigged system. And that transference has endeared Trump to voters that would never have given him the time of day prior to it. So obviously, this move by Jack Smith was actually the last thing that this fledgling Kamala campaign wanted. They did not want to give yet another excuse for voters to rally around Trump. First, you had the Kennedy realignment, then the Tulsi Gabbard, former DNC chair endorsing Trump. It's taking all this wind out of the sails of the convention, which was supposed to give Kamala a double-digit bump. She literally got nothing from it. In fact, her polls went down. Her polls went down as the week progressed. Trump's polls went up.
Yep, because you know why? Because she is running from interviews. Nobody believed anything she said. The woman, Kamala Harris, sat up there for a half an hour talking about her mom. Now, she didn't have not one policy. All she did was talk about her mom and talk about Donald Trump. Everybody said, Kamala, where's the policies? You trying to give everybody a reason not to vote for Trump when Trump haven't even been in office in the last 3.5 years. Y'all have. Everything that's going on right now and it's y'all fault, not Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not in office. Y'all are, but yet y'all trying to blame him for what's going on. Now she's trying to copy all of Donald Trump's policy. Now all of a sudden she was against the border. She didn't care about it. Now all of a sudden she want to build a wall. Everything Donald Trump say and do, Kamala Harris is trying to do. She is flip-flopping, trying to lie to people just to get the votes. And I guarantee you, if this woman get the votes and get back in the White House, she's going to go back on all her words. She just lying to the American people right now because she want to be back in the White House. So if it take lying to do that, to trick people, that's what she's going to do. We cannot let that happen. We must elect President Trump.
And her polls went down. All the momentum is swinging to Trump. And the last freaking thing that Kamala needed was Jack Smith to climb out from under his rock and give people another excuse and another reason to rally around Trump. Make no mistake. This was the last thing Kamala wanted, because now it's only going to further galvanize voters around Trump, which means that when Trump wins in a total blowout in November, ironically, we'll largely have Jack Smith to thank.
Sure will have Jack Smith to thank. But like I said, y'all let me know in the comment section what y'all think. Obviously, y'all heard everything I have to say. I think it's a bunch of crap. They knowing that if early voting is coming up and then they do this out of nowhere to try to throw voters from, voting for Donald Trump, which this right here is gonna help Donald Trump, just like everything else. All the putting them in these courtrooms, trying to lock them up, almost getting shot, just all of this stuff. And Donald Trump is still standing tall. We must elect President Trump, and I'm going to continue to rally behind him. I'm going to keep getting the word out there to y'all every time something go down. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel, hit that like button, and I'll catch y'all in the next one.